Hi, my name is Karen, and I'm an American lay student of Ajahn Suchart, or Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, who's given me his permission to read his books to you for free. Ajahn Suchart's books and talks are always free. Any ads you may see or hear in this recording have been put there by the platform you are using to listen or view with for its own revenue, in exchange for letting us use their platform for free. Please forgive me for any mispronunciation of names or words, and for any background noises, as I'm just making these recordings in my apartment with an unruly dog and in the middle of a city. Today I'm going to begin reading Beyond Birth, Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, an Autobiography. This book is an English translation from the original Thai and was completed in December 2021 and is a more thorough autobiography than his earlier one entitled My Way. As far as the format of the book, it's broken down into 7 chapters, and each chapter has multiple separate subsections under that subject. There are wonderful photos throughout the book, as well as a really large photo gallery at the end, including photos of Ajahn when he was a child with his family and with his teachers, and as a young man with lots of hair, all the way up to the present. So you may want to also download a copy for yourself at some point, or get a hard copy, which are both free. You can download a copy at 2 websites, and I'll spell them for you. Suchart.com, spelled Phrasuchart.com, and Kamatana.com, which is spelled Kammatthana.com, which is another website with a lot of good resources. If you want a free hard copy of the book mailed to you, you can contact Ajahn's assistant, and you can find complete contact information, including his mailing address, on Suchart.com. You can also find the assistant's email address on Ajahn's Facebook page, which is another good resource where you can find out about his live Q&A sessions. And that Facebook page is called Dhamma for the Asking, with Dhamma spelled D-H-A-M-M-A, Dhamma for the Asking. And if you sign up, you subscribe, you can be notified when he goes live. Sometimes the time changes when he goes live if he gets busy, so it's kind of nice to get those notifications, he's just gone live kind of thing. And his YouTube channel is called Dhamma in English, D-H-A-M-M-A in English. And now, let us begin recording Beyond Birth, Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, an Autobiography from December 2021. For free distribution only, in quotes, Dhamma should not be sold like goods in the marketplace, end quote. Permission to reproduce the contents contained in this publication in any way for non-commercial purposes as a gift of Dhamma is hereby granted. No further permission need be obtained. Reproduction in any way for commercial gain is strictly prohibited. The contents contained in this publication may not be modified in any way. And we're moving to page 5, where there is a quote by Ajahn Suchart Abhijato. Whenever I say I'm going to read a quote, it will be from Ajahn Suchart Abhijato, unless I say otherwise. That will just speed things along a little if I don't have to keep saying that it's Ajahn Suchart Abhijato. So the first quote is, "There is no happiness greater than peace of mind." The next quote is on page 7. "I never thought I would be where I am today, but practicing the Dhamma has led me here." The foreword is written by Disciples of Ajahn Suchart, December 2021, and I'll read it for you now. Forward. Luangta Mahabua once gave a Dhamma talk at Wat Pabantad called Tapa Dhamma as follows. Quote, Tapa Dhamma, austerity, is a tool to burn up the kilesas, mental defilements. Mindfulness, wisdom, faith, and perseverance are all Tapa Dhammas. The Dhamma is therefore like a fire which burns according to Sabbawadhamma. Nothing can go beyond Sabbawadhamma, which encompasses all worldly elements. Where Sabbawadhamma exists, the Dhamma knows accordingly. Just as when fire gets its fuel and keeps burning, so too does the knowing. The fire burns and penetrates, passing whatever it has burned and has been destroyed. Eventually, when everything has fallen apart and there isn't any more fuel, the fire stops burning. Burning the fuel completely, that's what burning the kilesas with Tapa Dhamma means. End quote. As Ajahn Suchart recalled, quote, it seems that there has always been the tendency to seek such fire. After graduation, I wasn't that anxious to look for monetary gains. The only thing that I was looking for was peace of mind and contentment. But with the education that I had, I didn't know where to get it. I just knew that having a family or possessing things wasn't the way to go. So I started to read up more books on wisdom, and I talked to different people about it. One person gave me a small Dhamma book that sparked an interest. So I wrote to him and asked for more Dhamma books. One book said to practice meditation, so I started to meditate. This was the point when the fire started burning, and it continued to burn to the extent that I ordained, sought out places to practice, and eventually stayed with a Kruba Ajahn. I didn't have any specific timeline or goal. I just let things happen naturally, because when there's fuel, fire will keep burning until there's nothing left. End quote. It is fortunate for us practicing Buddhists to come across a sage like Ajahn Suchart, a disciple of Venerable Ajahn Mahabua Gnanasampanno, who followed his teachings precisely. Ajahn Suchart's resolution to carry out his teacher's teachings is not only a blessing for us practitioners, but he is also our strength and stay in today's world. This biography, Beyond Birth, is our humble offering to thank Ajahn for all he has given us. This book was first compiled in the Thai language from several of the Dhamma talks and interviews Ajahn has been kind enough to give over the years. The resulting book was given the Thai title, which is listed in Thai, and then in parentheses, the English title, Open Heart, Open Dhamma, and it is now our pleasure to debut the book in the English translation. We stuck close to the original Thai, only inserting minimal changes as needed for clarity under Ajahn's guidance. Compared to Ajahn's previous autobiography, My Way, this book gives greater detail on Ajahn's life and spiritual journey. It is our hope that Beyond Birth will provide guidance and inspiration to those who would like to follow Ajahn's example. May we all realize the fruits of meditation practice. Disciples of Ajahn Suchart, December 2021. There is a quote on page 17. The point where wisdom arises is when the truth about life was realized. Seeing the decay of things helps to sever attachment more easily. The contents page is on page 19 and lists the 7 chapters, followed by photo gallery. Chapter 1, beginning on page 23, called Lay Life. Chapter 2, beginning on page 91, entitled The Methods of the Lord Buddha. Chapter 3 starts on 125, entitled Deciding to Ordain. Chapter 4 begins on 141, is entitled Father, Mother, Teacher. Chapter 5 begins on page 197, entitled Entering the Stream of Practice. Chapter 6 begins on 233, entitled Beyond Birth. Chapter 7 begins on page 253, entitled Moonlight and Starlight, and the photo gallery begins on 313. And as I mentioned, there are photos in the middle of the other chapters as well as the longer one at the end of the book. There is a quote on page 20. As a layperson, you have to live as a layperson. How could I have lived like a monk? I was just an ordinary man who had a taste of life and knew right from wrong, which made me want to detach from it, because that life was not for me. When I was younger, though, I did want to try it all. Chapter 1, Lay Life. I was just an ordinary man. Subtitle, My Father and Mother. My father, Samchai Ruantanasan, was from Suphanburi. My grandmother had 3 daughters and 2 sons, my father being the eldest. At this time, November 2019, 2 of my father's younger sisters are still alive. My aunt, who lives in Suphanburi, and an aunt who lives in Lam Chabang, Chonburi province. My uncle and elder aunt have since passed away. The younger aunts still occasionally come to visit me here. My grandparents came from China because our birth certificates were still using Se Ying. Eventually, my father changed his surname to my uncle's, Ruantanasan. Life was tough for my father growing up because his father passed away when he was young. At that time, my grandmother sold coffee in the market, and my father had to help her out. He had no chance to study or go to school. But my father was resourceful. He would have the people who came for coffee teach him the ABCs. Whenever people came to drink coffee, he'd ask them, "Could you teach me a bit, please?" That's how my father learned how to read and write. When my father was a teenager, 15 or 16 years old, he left home and took a boat to Bangkok. Back then, that was how you got from Suphanburi to Bangkok, by boat. He went looking for work and to learn whatever jobs came his way. It was there that he met my mother, Mrs. Surin Ruantanasaran. Eventually, they married. My mother, a Thai of Cantonese descent, was from Bangkok. Her parents had a business in the Odeon Circle area of Bangkok's Chinatown. She was educated in a Chinese school and had a very good command of the Chinese language. She worked as a receptionist for Dr. Promatat of Hua Chu Hospital, who had a clinic near Si Praya intersection. We'll stop there for today and begin the next section in Chapter 1, entitled My Beginning, which starts on page 26 in the next recording. I'll see you then. With metta. Bye-bye.